trying to do in 100 years, and I think we've held you such a big pedestal. Since it wasn't perfect, we got 95% of it. There's those complainers, but we're so grateful to have you. And my question is, I'm a first-generation Chaldean American, and my ancestors are from Iraq. Currently, there's Christians in Iraq that are, even today, they're being, it's like ethnic cleansing, where they're being persecuted for being Christians. That's why a lot of them have left that country. So it's such a difficult situation, but any ideas to protect the Christians? And I know it's a delicate balance, but I want to end with saying that anything we could do as far as small business owner, we employ 21,000 employees in my organization, and we've added jobs on the job note because of what you've done. But my question is more tailored towards international affairs.
Well, look, Iraq, we will be leaving Iraq at the end of this year. We've already brought 100,000 troops home. There's a residual force left. We'll be winding that down over the next several months. Iraq still is struggling to make the transition to democracy that's necessary. And it's going to be in fits and starts. Now, what is true in Iraq is true all across the Arab world right now. There's this huge opportunity where autocrats are being swept aside. And people, particularly young people, who've been frustrated for so long, are in a position where they can now aspire to work and speak out and live a free life. And that's something we've got to be behind. But, democracy can be swept up by demagoguery. And democracy can fall prey to sectarianism and intolerance. And minority rights can fall victim when it's a majority rule. And so we've been putting a lot of pressure on the Iraqis to say, if you want U.S. as a long-term ally, then you've got to observe certain principles. And you can't fall back into the kind of sectarian divisions that rip the country apart after we invaded. And we will continue to apply that pressure, just as we will apply that pressure in Egypt. We will apply that pressure in a place like Bahrain. Some places will do better, some places will do worse. But we will stay on. I think in order for us to be successful, though, one of the things that we're going to have to do is make sure that democratization of the economy takes place alongside democratization of the political system. Because if all those young people who are in Tahrir Square, or all the young people inside of Iraq, if they see themselves getting a good education, getting jobs, being able to raise a family, then they're much less prone to organize themselves around simply tribal lines or sectarian lines. If, on the other hand, the economy is organized by whoever's in power gets the spoils, then you're naturally inclined to try to work with your group to see if you can take power, suppress other groups in order for you to succeed. And so a lot of the emphasis we're putting on right now is not only speaking out forcefully on democracy and human rights and individual rights and religious rights. We're also saying strip away this layer of corruption that is so debilitating and holding the entire region back. We're not going to know how this experiment turns out for a decade. And in the interim, as we work towards that better day throughout the Middle East, we're still going to have to stay focused on the prospects of Middle East peace. Obviously, last week I was in New York at the United Nations, and I said more forcibly, I think, than any president's ever said before the General Assembly, that the United States will stand by Israel and that our commitment to their security is unbreakable. But both privately and publicly, what I've also said to Prime Minister Netanyahu is, this is a moment that you have to seize to try to resolve this Palestinian-Israeli issue, because it will have ramifications everywhere else. The days where you could simply negotiate a peace with one person, an autocrat, a Mubarak, those days are over. Now, you've got to have a mechanism to live peacefully with 400 million, each of whom are going to have influence on their rulers. And Israel's long-term security is going to depend on making sure that, even if it's not a warm embrace, at least that there's a sense that that is not a constant organizing tool for these other countries. And that requires, both sides to recognize that what we're looking at is two states side by side in peace and security. Palestinians are going to need territorial integrity. Israelis have to have a promise of security that is not just words, but it's got to be manifested in all sorts of ways. And those are difficult negotiations, but those negotiations have to start. So if we can get that resolved, Iraq as a pillar that shows a country with a Shia-Sunni divide can still function, and Egypt is the largest of the countries in the Middle East as a model of democracy as well. Those three pillars could usher in a much better future for the Middle East and as a consequence for the world. But each one of those things is going to be challenging over the next 10 years.
I want to say that for the first time in my life, as a president, I